The massive repair bay doors of New Earth Station 7 opened slowly, revealing the damaged merchant ship floating in space. Tom Walker stood at the control center's main window, his experienced eyes examining the vessel's hull. 20 years as station chief had taught him to spot problems at first glance, and this ship had plenty of them. "Another one for the books," he muttered, watching as the tractor beams gently pulled the alien vessel inside. This was the 15th emergency repair request this week, a new record for the station. The ship belonged to the Stellar Alliance, its sleek design marking it as one of their latest models. Its usual bright silver surface was now darkened with scorch marks, and the engine section showed signs of critical failure. Blue energy leaked from its damaged crystal core, creating a trail of light behind it. "Repair Bay 3 ready for docking," announced First Officer Reed through the station's comm system. His voice carried the calm confidence that came from years of handling difficult situations. "Engineering team standing by." Tom nodded, even though Reed couldn't see him. "Good. Get Kate up here. She'll want to see this one." Minutes later, lead engineer Kate Miller walked into the control center, wiping grease from her hands with an old rag. She still preferred doing hands-on work despite her senior position. Her dark overalls were worn from years of crawling through maintenance tubes and working with machinery. "What's the situation, Chief?" she asked, moving to stand beside Tom at the window. "Stellar Alliance merchant vessel. Crystal drive failure. They say their automated repair systems couldn't fix it." Tom handed her a tablet showing the initial scans. "Their captain sounds pretty worried." Kate studied the readings, her eyes widening. Well, looks like they tried to push their drive too hard. Classic mistake. They always think those crystal matrices can handle more power than they're rated for." The alien ship was now safely docked in Repair Bay 3, its massive form dwarfing the human repair crews that approached it. The vessel's captain, a tall figure with iridescent scales, emerged from the airlock and was greeted by First Officer Reed. Through the station's communication system, they could hear the conversation. "Your reputation precedes you," the alien captain said, his translator making his words sound slightly mechanical. "Though I must admit, I was hesitant to trust a human repair station. Your species is quite new to space travel." Reed smiled diplomatically. "We may be new to the stars, Captain, but we've been fixing things since we first picked up stones as tools. Some problems need more than just advanced technology to solve." Tom turned to Kate. "What do you think? Can we help them?" Kate was already putting on her tool belt, a mix of modern devices and surprisingly old-fashioned wrenches hanging from it. Their crystal drive is basically a fancy engine. Strip away all the high-tech parts, and it's still just about power management and heat distribution. The principles haven't changed since the first steam engine. "The Alliance won't like us tinkering with their precious technology," Tom warned, though he was already smiling. He knew that look in Kate's eyes. "They'll like a working ship better than a broken one," she replied, heading for the door. "Besides, sometimes the old ways work best. Get me Jack and Mike from Bay 2. We'll need some manual labor for this one." Tom watched through the window as Kate's team assembled near the damaged ship. The alien crew looked on with a mixture of curiosity and concern as the humans brought out their equipment, some of it looking surprisingly simple compared to the advanced diagnostic tools used by most spacefaring races. "Your engineers are going to use physical tools?" the alien captain asked Reed, his tone somewhere between surprise and alarm. "Our systems are far too delicate for such primitive methods. Just watch," Reed replied confidently. "There's a reason ships come to us from all over the sector. We might not have the most advanced technology, but we understand machines in a way few others do." Tom smiled to himself as he watched Kate organize her team. New Earth Station 7 had earned its reputation one repair at a time, proving that sometimes the best solutions came from understanding the basics. As more alien ships appeared on the long-range scanners, he knew they were about to prove it again. The day was just beginning, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy why they were becoming the most trusted mechanics in known space. Kate Miller stood before the alien ship's crystal drive, her eyes taking in the complex network of glowing tubes and pulsing energy matrices. The engine room was massive, filled with technology that most humans had only seen in technical journals. Blue light danced across the walls as energy leaked from several cracked crystals. "This is worse than we thought," Jack said, running his handheld scanner over the damaged sections. "The main power crystal has multiple fractures. Their automated systems tried to fix it, but only made things worse." Mike whistled low as he looked at the readings. Never seen a crystal matrix stressed this badly. It's like they were running at double the normal power output. The alien engineer, whose name was Vix, hovered nervously behind them. His silvery uniform reflected the blue glow of the failing drive. "Our AI systems say the damage is beyond repair. The crystal matrix is too unstable for standard procedures." Kate pulled an old leather notebook from her pocket, something that made Vix's eyes widen in surprise. She preferred taking notes by hand, finding that drawing problems helped her understand them better. As she sketched the crystal drive's layout, something familiar began to emerge. "Look at this," she said, showing her drawing to Jack and Mike. "Strip away all the fancy crystal technology. And what does this remind you of?" Jack leaned in, squinting at the sketch. His eyes suddenly lit up. "Well, I'll be damned. It's just like an old combustion engine cooling system." "Exactly," Kate smiled. "The crystals are like the radiator fins, the energy flows are like coolant lines, and these matrix stabilizers." She pointed to several geometric shapes surrounding the main crystal. "They're just fancy pressure regulators." Vix moved forward, his translator struggling to keep up with their excited exchange. "But this is advanced crystal technology. It cannot be compared to primitive combustion engines." Kate turned to the alien engineer. "The principles are the same, Vix. Energy flow, heat distribution, pressure management. These basics haven't changed in thousands of years. Your eye looks at the crystal matrix as one complex system, but we see each part and how they work together." She reached for her tool belt and pulled out what looked like an ancient wrench, modified with modern sensors. The alien engineer stepped back in alarm. "You cannot use physical tools on our crystal drive. The energy harmonics are too delicate." "Trust me," Kate said, her voice calm and confident. "Sometimes you need to feel the machine to understand what's wrong. Computers can't always tell you everything." She approached the damaged section, holding her modified wrench near one of the stabilizer units. The tool's sensors began to hum, and its display showed varying patterns of energy flow. "See this?" She pointed to a particular reading. "Your crystals aren't cracked because of power overload. They're cracked because the stabilizers are out of sync. It's causing harmonic vibrations, just like engine knock in old cars." Jack and Mike exchanged knowing looks. They'd seen this before, advanced technology failing because of basic mechanical principles that automated systems overlooked. "Vix," Kate called to the alien engineer, "I need you to gradually reduce power to stabilizer units 3 through 7. Mike, get the crystal repair kit ready. Jack, help me calibrate these stabilizers manually." "Manually?" Vix's voice rose in pitch. "That's impossible. The timing must be accurate to within microseconds." Kate smiled as she positioned her wrench. "Watch and learn. This is why they call us the best mechanics in the sector." Over the next hour, the repair bay was filled with the sounds of tools clicking against metal, the hum of energy fields, and the occasional burst of steam from pressure releases. Kate's team worked with practiced precision, using a combination of modern technology and old-world mechanical skills that left Vix speechless. The blue glow of leaking energy gradually faded as they brought each stabilizer back into harmony. The cracked crystals, once relieved of the harmonic stress, began to heal themselves, a natural property that the ship's AI had been unable to trigger. "Impossible," Vix whispered, watching as the crystal drive's power levels returned to normal. His handheld diagnostic tool showed all systems functioning at optimal efficiency. How did you know this would work? Kate patted the engine housing with satisfaction. Sometimes the best solutions are the simple ones. Your eye sees the technology, but we see the machine underneath. That's the human advantage. 3 days after fixing the Stellar Alliance merchant ship, New Earth Station 7's main control room was busier than ever. Tom Walker watched the screen showing incoming distress calls and repair requests from across the sector. Each message told the same story: automated systems failing, AI repairs going wrong, and desperate crews seeking human help. Another request from the Centauri trading route. First Officer Reed announced, marking a new dot on the holographic map. That makes 27 ships heading our way. Word's spreading fast about what Kate's team did with that crystal drive. Tom nodded, remembering the looks on the alien crew's faces when they'd departed. How's our repair bay capacity? We're stretched thin, but managing. Reed pulled up the station's schedule. Kate's been training the night shift crews on her methods. Says it's time they learned the old ways too. The mention of old ways brought Tom back to his early days, before humans had reached the stars. He'd been just a kid during the AI wars, when Earth's over-reliance on artificial intelligence had nearly destroyed their civilization. The recovery had forced humans to relearn everything, from basic farming to advanced engineering, all by hand. The station's intercom crackled to life. "Chief, you might want to come down to Bay 4. Kate's voice carried a hint of amusement. "Got something you should see." In Repair Bay 4, Tom found Kate standing with a group of alien engineers. They weren't there for repairs. Their ships were in perfect condition. Instead, each one held simple human tools, watching intently as Kate demonstrated how to use a manual diagnostic probe. "See, when you hold it like this," Kate was saying, "you can feel the vibrations from the power flow. Your body becomes part of the diagnostic process. No AI can replicate that kind of feedback." One of the aliens, a tall being with metallic skin, raised what passed for a hand. "But our systems are designed to be maintained by automated repair units. Why should we learn these manual methods?" Kate picked up a burned-out power coupling from a nearby workbench. "Because machines break in simple ways, even when they're complex. Look at this coupling. Your eye sees millions of potential failures and tries to analyze each one. But a human mechanic," she ran her fingers along the metal, "can feel the stress points and know exactly where it failed." Tom watched from the doorway, smiling as the alien engineers crowded around the workbench, their own hands tentatively reaching out to touch the damaged part. "Station Chief," a voice called from behind him. It was Vix, the engineer from the Crystal Dry ship. "Our guild has received multiple reports of your station's repair success rate. It defies all our statistical models." Tom turned to face the alien engineer. "That's because you can't put human intuition into a statistical model, Vix. We learned that the hard way back on Earth." "The AI wars," Vix nodded. "We've studied your history. Many thought humans would never recover from losing their artificial intelligence networks. We didn't just recover," Tom said, watching Kate continue her impromptu class. "We got better. We remembered that the best technology is useless without a deep understanding of how things work. That's something AI can't teach." A cheer went up from the group as one of the alien engineers successfully diagnosed a fault using only manual tools. The being's metallic face couldn't smile, but its joy was evident in the way it held up the tool triumphantly. "Your species is unique," Vix observed. "While the rest of us pushed forward with automation, you went backward to move forward." Tom shook his head. "Not backward. Back to basics. There's a difference." The station's communication system chimed again. More ships were arriving. More calls for help were coming in. But now, looking at the scene in Repair Bay 4, Tom saw something new beginning. It wasn't just about fixing ships anymore. It was about teaching the galaxy a lesson humans had learned the hard way. Sometimes, to solve the most advanced problems, You needed to understand the simplest principles. And that was something humans did better than anyone else in the known universe. The emergency alarms of New Earth Station 7 blared to life at exactly midnight station time. Tom Walker, who had been reviewing repair logs in his office, rushed to the control center. The main screen showed a massive warship dropping out of faster-than-light travel, its hull crackling with dangerous energy discharges. "Report," Tom called out as he entered the control room. First Officer Reed's fingers flew across his console. "It's the Phoenix Guardian, sir, flagship of the Stellar Alliance Peace Force. They're broadcasting a Priority 1 distress signal." The image on the main screen grew clearer, showing the true extent of the damage. The warship's main hull was intact, but its engine section pulsed with unstable energy. Strange, dark ripples spread through space around it. "Their captain is requesting immediate emergency docking," Reed continued. "They're carrying the Alliance Peace Council. They were en route to stop a border conflict in the Orion sector when their experimental drive system failed." Tom's blood ran cold. The Peace Council, the very people who kept order among 100 different spacefaring species. If anything happened to them, "Get Kate up here now." Kate arrived within minutes, still wearing her repair crew overalls. One look at the screen, and she whistled. "That's a phase shift drive. They're not even supposed to exist yet." "Can we help them?" Tom asked. "Their automated systems have failed completely," Reed reported. 3 other repair stations already turned them away. Said the technology was too experimental, too dangerous. The ship's captain appeared on the communication screen. His uniform marked him as one of the highest-ranking officers in the Alliance fleet. "Station Chief Walker, we've heard of your facilities. Unique capabilities. We need help. The Peace Council must reach the Orion sector within 20 hours, or war could break out between 2 major powers." Tom looked at Kate. She was already pulling up technical readouts, her eyes scanning the complex diagrams. "It's bleeding phase energy," she said. "If that drive goes critical." "How many people on board?" Tom asked the captain. 300 crew, plus the 12 members of the Peace Council." The station shuddered as another wave of energy rippled out from the warship. Warning lights flashed across every console in the control room. "Their drive is destabilizing," Reed warned. "We need to make a decision now." Kate stepped forward. "Chief, remember that old nuclear reactor back on Earth? The one that almost went critical in '89. This isn't so different. Energy is energy, whether it's nuclear, crystal, or phase shift." "That reactor was primitive compared to this," the captain interjected, his translator carrying his skepticism. "Exactly," Kate smiled. "And that's why we can fix it. Your advanced systems are trying to solve this with pure technology. But sometimes you need to think simpler." Tom studied the warship on the screen. If they turned it away, hundreds would die, and a war would start. If they tried to help and failed, his entire station could be destroyed. The safe choice would be to refuse, just like the other repair stations. But that wasn't the human way. "Captain," Tom straightened his back, "bring your ship in. Nice and slow. But I need you to do something that might sound strange. Anything. Turn off every automated system on your ship. Every AI, every computer-controlled repair unit. All of it." The captain's expression showed shock. "That's against every safety protocol we have." "Those protocols assume you have working technology," Kate added. "Right now, your technology is the problem. Let us solve this the human way." There was a long pause as the captain consulted with someone off-screen. Finally, he nodded. "Very well. But I hope you know what you're doing." "Reed, clear all civilian ships from Repair Bay 1. Tom ordered. "Kate, get your best people. Not the ones who are best with computers. The ones who are best with their hands." Kate was already heading for the door. "Jack and Mike are still on shift. We'll need them for this one." As the massive warship slowly approached the station, Tom watched his repair crews prepare. They looked tiny compared to the advanced vessel, they were about to tackle. But he knew that sometimes the biggest problems needed the smallest solutions, and humans were very, very good at finding those solutions. Repair Bay 1 hummed with tension as Kate Miller led her team toward the Phoenix Guardian's engine room. The ship's massive phase shift drive filled the chamber, its core swirling with colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. Without the ship's AI systems running, the only light came from emergency panels and the unstable drive itself. Just like we planned, Kate told her team. Jack, you're on power flow. Mike, watch the containment readings. Everyone else, remember your basic physics. Forget everything you've read about advanced drive systems. The ship's chief engineer, accompanied by 2 Peace Council observers, watched nervously as the humans unpacked their tools. Most were surprisingly simple: modified wrenches, handheld scanners, and what looked like ordinary pressure gauges. Those tools can't possibly handle phase shift energy, the ship's engineer protested. The drive operates on principles that still follow the basic laws of physics, Kate interrupted, pulling out her old leather notebook. Energy is energy. Whether it's steam, nuclear, or phase shift, it all follows the same rules. She quickly sketched the drive system, breaking it down into simple components. Look, strip away all the advanced technology, and what do you have? Energy production, energy flow, and energy containment, just like a basic power plant. Mike's handheld gauge suddenly beeped rapidly. Energy spike in Section 3. There's your problem. Kate pointed to where dark energy rippled through the drive's housing. The phase shift field is out of alignment because your automated systems are trying to correct it with perfect mathematical precision. Of course they are, the ship's engineer said. Phase alignment requires calculations accurate to the millionth decimal place. Jack, who was checking power conduits with his modified wrench, laughed. That's your mistake right there. You're fighting the energy instead of working with it. Watch this. He pressed his wrench against a power conduit and closed his eyes, feeling the vibrations. After a moment, he turned a control valve exactly 1/4 turn. The dark ripples in that section immediately calmed. How did you? The engineer began. Feel that rhythm? Kate asked, placing her hand on the drive housing. Phase shift energy pulses, just like any other power source. Your computers try to force it into perfect alignment, but energy needs to flow naturally. She turned to her team. Everyone take a section. Feel the pulse, match the rhythm, and adjust the flow manually, just like we did with that old hydroelectric dam back on Earth. The Peace Council observers watched in amazement as the human repair crew spread out around the drive. Each technician placed their hands on different sections, using simple tools to make tiny adjustments. They worked without computers, without advanced calculations, using only their hands and basic instruments. The phase shift field is stabilizing, Mike reported, watching his gauge. Energy levels dropping to normal range. Kate nodded, making another adjustment. The energy was fighting against the artificial constraints. Sometimes you need to let it find its natural balance. One by one, the dark ripples faded. The drive's core began to glow with a steady, healthy light. Warning alarms fell silent throughout the ship. The ship's engineer stared at his own readings in disbelief. This is impossible. You've achieved perfect phase alignment without using a single computer calculation. Not perfect, Kate corrected him, wiping sweat from her forehead. Natural. There's a difference. Your drive works by shifting partially out of normal space, but even different phases of reality follow physical laws. Understanding those basic laws is more important than having advanced technology. Tom's voice came over the communication system. Kate, how's it looking down there? Drive is stable, Chief. They can make their Peace Council meeting with time to spare. She turned to the ship's engineer. But I'd recommend running at 80% power with manual monitoring. Sometimes, slower is better. The Peace Council observers were already speaking rapidly into their communication devices, their voices excited. One of them approached Kate. We've never seen anything like this. Would your station be willing to share these repair techniques with other species? Kate smiled, patting her old notebook. That's what we're here for. Sometimes the best way forward is to take a step back and remember the basics. That's something we humans never forgot. The Phoenix Guardian's massive engine hummed contentedly, its phase shift drive now running smoother than it ever had under computer control. It was another victory for the old ways, for human hands and human understanding. In a galaxy it had perhaps become too dependent on advanced technology. 1 month after the Phoenix Guardian incident, New Earth Station 7 looked very different. The main repair bay had been partially converted into a teaching space, with workbenches and training equipment filling the areas between dock ships. Aliens of all species crowded around these stations, watching human instructors demonstrate repair techniques that their own civilizations had long forgotten. Tom Walker stood on the observation deck, watching Kate teach a group of alien engineers. She had a damaged crystal matrix spread out on her workbench, carefully taking it apart while her students observed. Notice how the crystal structure feels different here. She guided a tall, tentacled engineer's appendage to touch a specific point. That's what stress damage feels like. No scanner can detect this as reliably as your own senses. First Officer Reed joined Tom at the window. The first graduating class from our basic engineering program is ready, Chief. 27 aliens from 15 different species. The Peace Council is calling it the Renaissance Initiative. Tom smiled, remembering how this all started. How many applications do we have for the next class? Over 300. Reed checked his tablet. And that's not counting the official requests from 6 major governments to establish similar programs on their own worlds. They're calling for human instructors. Below them, Kate's class had moved on to practical exercises. Each alien was now handling tools that their species had considered obsolete for centuries. A crystalline being, whose civilization hadn't used physical tools in 1,000 years, successfully diagnosed a power coupling fault just by touch. Look at them, Tom said. The most advanced species in the galaxy, learning to use wrenches and screwdrivers. And loving every minute of it, Reed added. The Stellar Alliance Science Council submitted a fascinating report yesterday. They say we've triggered a fundamental shift in how species think about technology. The station's communication system chimed. Chief, Kate's voice came through. You might want to come down here. The Arcadian ambassador just arrived for the tour. Tom found Kate in Repair Bay 3, standing with a tall, ethereal being whose species was known for their purely energy-based technology. The ambassador was holding an old Earth multimeter, studying it with obvious fascination. Ambassador, Tom greeted. Welcome to our humble station. Humble. The ambassador's translator crackled with amusement. Chief Walker, what you've started here is spreading across the galaxy. Our youngest engineers are requesting manual training instead of AI interface education. They want to understand machines the way humans do. Kate demonstrated how to use the multimeter, showing how simple electrical principles could diagnose complex problems. The ambassador's aides recorded everything, their own hands twitching with the desire to try the tools themselves. We were wrong about humans, the ambassador continued. We thought your lack of advanced automation was a weakness. Now we understand it was your greatest strength. You never lost touch with the physical world. A cheer erupted from one of the training stations. A group of alien students had successfully repaired an anti-gravity unit using only basic tools and their newly trained senses. Their instructor, Jack, beamed with pride. That's the 5th repair they've done today without using any advanced diagnostics, Kate reported. They're learning fast. Too fast, maybe, Tom asked, only half joking. Soon, they won't need us anymore. The ambassadors shook their head. No, Chief Walker. We will always need humans. You possess something that cannot be taught in mere lessons, centuries of cultural memory, of maintaining the balance between technology and understanding. That is why we've come to propose something unprecedented. They handed Tom a data crystal. As he read it, his eyes widened. a joint species engineering academy, here on the station. The largest in known space, the ambassador confirmed. Funded by the Stellar Alliance, staffed by human instructors, open to all species, a place where the galaxy can learn the human way of doing things. Kate looked up from her class, her eyes shining. The human way. Yes, the ambassador said. To never let technology make you forget the basics. To trust your hands as much as your machines. To remember that understanding how things work is just as important as making them work. Tom looked around the busy repair bay, at aliens and humans working side by side, sharing knowledge that bridged the gap between old and new. Sometimes, he realized, the best way to move forward was to remember what you learned in the past. 6 months after the founding of the Joint Species Engineering Academy, New Earth Station 7 had nearly doubled in size. The original repair bays were now surrounded by new training facilities, workshops, and collaboration spaces. Ships from across the galaxy arrived not just for repairs, but for their crews to learn the human approach to engineering. Tom Walker stood in his favorite spot on the observation deck, but today he wasn't alone. Kate Miller stood beside him, along with representatives from 20 different alien species. They were watching the graduation ceremony of the Academy's largest class yet. 2,000 graduates, Kate said proudly, looking down at the ceremony in the main bay. And every single one of them can fix a fusion drive with nothing but basic tools and their own senses. The ceremony below was a blend of human tradition and alien customs. Each graduate received both a digital certification and an old-fashioned paper certificate. More importantly, they each got their own set of basic tools, a symbol of their commitment to hands-on engineering. Did you ever think we'd see something like this? Tom asked, watching as a gaseous being carefully accepted its wrench set with its containment field manipulators. Honestly, no, Kate laughed. I just wanted to fix ships. A small commotion at the bay entrance caught their attention. The Phoenix Guardian had just docked, not for repairs this time, but for its regular maintenance check. The same ship that had once arrived in crisis now served as a training vessel for the Academy. Its captain approached the observation deck group. Chief Walker, Engineer Miller, he greeted them. I bring news from the Stellar Alliance Council. He held out a data pad, but also, surprisingly, a piece of paper, real paper. Tom took both, but read the paper first. His eyes widened as he scanned the contents. They're making it official, he announced to the group. All ships in Stellar Alliance space will now be required to have at least one human-trained engineer on board, and all new ships must be designed with manual repair access in addition to automated systems. The alien representatives murmured in approval. One of them, a crystalline being, spoke up. Our shipyards have already begun retrofitting vessels to allow for manual repairs. The efficiency improvements are significant. Kate nodded. Because now you're building ships to be fixed, not just to run. Below them, the graduation ceremony was wrapping up. The new engineers were demonstrating their skills, each working on different pieces of equipment. Some used tools designed for their specific anatomies, tentacles, energy fields, or multiple limbs, but all followed the basic principles that humans had taught them. Look there, Tom pointed to a corner of the bay. A young alien engineer was teaching the human technician how to better understand crystalline technology using touch-based diagnostics. Now they're teaching us. That's the best part, Kate said. We're all learning from each other. They're taking our basic methods and adapting them to their advanced technology, creating something new. The station's AI announced the arrival of another ship, this one from a species that had previously relied entirely on automated repairs. Its captain's voice came over the comm system. New Earth Station 7. This is the starship Eternal Light requesting permission to dock. Our engineers would like to perform maintenance, the human way. Tom smiled as Reed's voice responded with the standard clearance. These requests had become common now. Ships would travel far out of their way to reach human repair stations, not because they needed emergency fixes, but because they trusted the human approach. You know what the best part is? Kate said, watching the new ship dock. We didn't just teach them to fix machines. We taught them to understand them, to feel how they work, to trust their instincts along with their instruments. We taught them to be human. Tom asked with a slight smile. We taught them that being human isn't about the level of your technology, Kate corrected. It's about understanding the basics, trusting your hands, and never being afraid to get them dirty. The observation deck fell silent as they watched the activity below. Humans and aliens working together, sharing knowledge that bridged the gap between the most advanced technology and the most basic principles. New Earth Station 7 had become more than just a repair station. It was a symbol of humanity's unique gift to the galaxy. Sometimes the best way to advance wasn't to create new technology, but to better understand the old. That was the human way. And now it was becoming the galaxy's way too.